What's up, everyone? Along with Anthony Morrow, I am Colby Daniels. I feel like we got to start this thing this week with an apology, or at least I need to apologize. Um, I was joking about the Thunder going 82-0, obviously, but as we talked about how great they were last week, the day that we talked about how great they were, they lost to the Portland Trailblazers in a miserable. I think they had a 22-point lead. They gave it up, didn't finish, and everything we basically said good about the Thunder that day went in the complete opposite direction. So our sincerest apologies. Hopefully, as the Thunder are coming off the big Golden State win and getting ready to play the Lakers a little bit later today, this doesn't happen for a second time because they've put together another winning streak. But that's how we got to start this thing. How are you, my man?
It wasn't my idea. I just want to let everybody know. My man CD,
It was all me.
I said it. I know. I said, eventually they gonna lose one, obviously. But we was three shows in and they were undefeated. So now we got something to talk about with
That's
them.
right. That's right. Like, what's wrong with the Thunder?
Yeah, now it's like, oh, it's over with. They're not contenders anymore. You know how the media is. We don't do that over here, though. We don't do that.
That's right. That's right. We're going to be at least somewhat intelligent most of the time, and then every once in a while we'll be complete idiots. But that's kind of the fun part of doing these things anyway. Okay, so before we jump into this basketball stuff, I've got to tell you, I came across something a couple days ago. I've been completely infatuated with this story on social media, but I'm scrolling social media a couple days ago, and somebody had posted this video of Carolina Mike, this Panthers fan that is singing songs, and I'm like, this is fantastic. Has Jake, like old Carolina Panthers Jake Delhomme posters on his wall. Like, it's awesome. So I'm like, this is so great. I'm sharing it with all my buddies. Some of them were like, you're super late to this party. Okay, fair enough. I'm busy. I don't have all the time in the world, but I loved it. Then I started coming across these other videos where he's at the Panthers games. He actually meets Jake Delhomme, Jonathan Stewart, former Panthers running backs on the sideline singing with him. Like, it's fantastic. For those of you that are late to the party like me, check it out on social media. But I texted you about this earlier today, and that's your guy, huh?
That's my guy, man. I don't know him personally. I'm gonna say that like that, but yeah, man, he's been around for some years. Like maybe as far as I've known, social media, maybe like 2 or 3 years. And it was funny then, but it was like really like a local viral thing. And now my man Carolina Mike is a real like national superstar. He really put his shot on the map. But I love it so much because if you know anything about Charlotte, it's really like a kind of a bubble city. So like when we get something like that that goes national, like the city really like hangs on to that. So I mean it's funny, but he's also like a staple within the Panthers. Anytime you get a fan like that associated with your team, you had the guy, I forgot if it was damn. It may have been the Ravens, like the guy that sat and slept on the roof until they
Yeah,
won a
yeah.
game or something. Until they got a touchdown. I think Trent Dilfer was the quarterback. And that kind of stuff carries into the team. It carries into the community, the locker room, and everybody kind of rallies around those guys. And that's what he represents for the Panthers, especially this year, because we 500, we 5-5. We had caught some real momentum in the last few weeks, and he was right in the middle of it.
Yeah.
So I got to support Carolina Mike. I'm trying to figure out where Carolina Mike is, man. I'm trying to get him on my podcast. We got Charlotte on the Scene podcast. We got to get Mike on that,
You
man.
gotta get when you do. Let me know because I gotta watch. When he met Jake Delhomme and he like basically gets down on his knees like I'm not worthy type thing from Wayne's World. I was dead. And Jake Delhomme's face is also just fantastic because I like the whole time I'm thinking like who's a Jake Delhomme fan? Like that's so random.
Hey, you know what's crazy? If you look at all the quarterbacks we had in our history, he the second best quarterback
Oh
we
yeah,
ever had.
he's a dude for sure. Yeah, took him to a
He
Super
nowhere
Bowl.
near Cam, but at the same
Right.
time, I mean, Jake was right there with mid in between the mid and the top tier quarterbacks for a bunch of years for us. So I'm like, look, that's how you know you're a real Panthers fan
No
because
doubt.
a lot of people call Jake Delhomme. I haven't seen Jake Delhomme face in I don't know how long. So to
Exactly.
see him in Carolina, Mike, now people talking about Jake Delhomme on all these sports shows now. Yeah, bring his stats up. You know what I'm saying? So it was cool. I love moments like that. But that's what's the beauty about the middle of the NFL season, man.
Yeah.
So It's
And
cool.
it's a great thing about sports. I mean, bringing people together and everybody bonding over something like that. Super fan that gets to like live out his dreams, meet his heroes, and it's just it's a cool story. I absolutely was eating up all the content on social media. All right, so let's talk about these Oklahoma City Thunder, 11-1 blowout, dominant win over the Golden State Warriors. Again, I hope we're not jinxing them because they play the Lakers tonight. Once again, no Lou Dort available. Aaron Wiggins is out again. J-Dub still hasn't made his season debut, but they obviously lost the game to Portland, and since then they have put it on everybody in their path.
Right. Usually you see teams that get off to those kind of starts and they lose one like that to a team that they were the over, obviously. Some teams you could tell when something's wrong. And that didn't look like something was wrong. So you knew they were gonna be able to bounce back. The last two games they played, they done won, in a large margin. So tonight's gonna be a test, obviously. I'm looking forward to seeing Shea and Luca, head go head to head, man. I'm really looking forward to that. But J Dub will be back soon, I'm hearing. Unfortunate about Nick. So we just gotta, I don't know. They gotta keep the same mentality that they have right now. We got Zay, I mean, it is what it is. It's part of the season. People don't realize what kind of toll that takes. Even, you know, with the win streak like that, the toll that takes on you, not physically with the travel and the games, but all the media, like, are y'all gonna keep this up? Golden State won, I think, 24 games in a row that year. They won it, but lost to Cleveland when they beat us in 6 games or 7 games. So I mean, that take a lot. That's like a season within the season.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think they still. I mean, I looked at the power rankings, and I've been kind of really following. Shout out to my guy, Coach Jamal over there, Orlando Magic. I saw they just cracked the top 10. OKC still number one. I don't see nobody creeping in on that with them. It's a lot of teams playing really well that you kind of like wouldn't think would have the record right now that they have. But the only thing I can tell you that's like clear cut, sustainable contenders. It's a few of them, but number one is going to be the guys. It's OKC right now. I don't really. I see some young talent, but I call them, they babies, they puppies right now. They not,
Yeah.
they're not ready to take that Minnesota, Orlando, um, Houston, kinda in there. They got some vets. We'll see what happens though.
Long way to go. Long way to go. Obviously, when Oklahoma City loses the second of a back to back, sometimes you get a pass for something like that. It's the second of a back to back. Some
Yeah,
people though, like don't accept that as a reason to lose a game. Right? It's like, well, they're paid to play basketball. That's all they do. It shouldn't matter if they played the day before. So I'll pitch this to you. Like, what is the toughest part of a back to back? Is it the physical aspect? Is it just mentally getting up for the second day in a row? Like, what is the toughest part of it when, like that you would argue with people when they say, well, I mean, you're paid to play basketball. Who cares if it's 2 days in a row?
yeah, but see, that's the thing. Fans don't understand. And shout out to my brother Lou Williams, who made this point a few years ago. He said, "We have to play basketball when we don't want to play basketball." So like you can go play basketball any day, anytime you want. Like we have to do this. It's like a banker has to go in the office every single day when he doesn't want to go in the office every day. But it's just the same thing. It's an occupation. It's a job. It's a blessing, of course. But that's what it is. So, when you have those comments, it is. But I wouldn't say the toughest thing is just like you have to learn it's a mental thing, basically. It's not nothing physical. You work out every day, you in the gym, you play through soreness and pain, or you play through fatigue, mentally and physically anyway. You kind of get used to that as part of it. So I don't think I would just say mentally knowing what your routine is going to be. All right, I know we got 3 games this week that we go on the road, play a game on the East Coast, and then we get 2 days off. We got a back to back against Philly and New York or something like that. So it's like after that Philly game, your routine is different, knowing that you gotta fly or something and go play, even if you gotta fly back to Oklahoma or wherever you playing at, you fly back. Your whole routine is different, knowing that you gotta get up. So it's like a mental routine thing. And it could be tough if you never adjust to it, but I can't tell you one guy that didn't adjust to haven't had. We played that lockout season, for example. Like we had back to back games. Like everybody had to play at least three games back to back. Now that was crazy. That was brutal because that third game, everybody was. You could see the look in everybody's faces, like from the towel guys, from the equipment managers to the coaches to the players to everybody, the security guards. Everybody just was like the look on their face was like running on fumes.
Fans are
You
looking
know,
at the roster like, who's that guy? I've never seen him play before.
exactly. You got to think, man. I mean, I've been on teams with, I was on a Golden State team where we had to have two guys just sit on the bench in their warm-ups, and they were injured. I was one of them. So they played five guys the whole game. And that's what it is. It comes down to that sometimes. It's rare, but it's more a mental routine thing with
Yeah.
back to back. Sorry to the fans that don't understand that, man. We love y'all.
Sorry, not
I
sorry, but yeah, I mean, like it's just like anybody else's job. So I feel like every time we have these discussions about the Thunder and how well they're playing, there's like multiple guys that I could throw out, and I want to try to like have conversations about different people every week, so it's not like saying Shea every week. Like Shea obviously is great. There will be weeks that he does things more spectacularly than he did the previous week. AJ Mitchell, we talked a lot about last week. He's been fantastic. Over the last week, though, two guys I got to bring up that I specifically want to discuss. The two Isaiahs, Isaiah Hartenstein and Isaiah Joe. And we'll start with Isaiah Hartenstein. I mean, he's obviously off to the best start of his career, averaging 13 points, 11 rebounds a game, 3 assists a game. Last year I thought one of the things that really stood out to me about his game is how often the Thunder were able to run the offense through him. I mean, he's such a good passer and has such a good feel for the game that even when Shea wasn't on the floor at times, they put him in the high post and ran the offense through him. His passing ability allows you to do that. His obviously just understanding of the game allows you to do that, but he's playing tremendous basketball. He only played 20 minutes against Golden State last night, so the numbers weren't quite what they were over the other two games in the weekend, but against Memphis, 18 points, 13 rebounds. Sacramento, 33 points, 19 rebounds, which was a career high, but he seems to be getting more and more comfortable with this team and sort of just, I guess, embracing all the different aspects of what they're asking him to do, because it's not the same thing on a nightly basis.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I was gonna say that. Every night could be different for a guy like Isaiah. But one thing we know he gonna hang his hat on is he's the enforcer. He's the guy that's gonna hold the paint down. Like I always say, I said this before. He reminds me of a young Steven, but a little more athletically, like in terms of his skill set offensively, a little more inclined. Talking about a guy that can score when he needs to 33, 19 rebounds, and the way they play, he's able to do that. Like he's just getting to show his skill set a little bit more offensively. If you can rely on him to add spurts to the game, initiate your offense and get Shea coming off screens and Isaiah Joe and all these guards and everybody coming and Jay Will when he gets back, in space coming off screens, Lou Dort, then that's going to be tremendous for your offense because it's like almost not comparing the two, but it's like how they play Jokic in Denver. You can't depend on it as much as they do in Denver with Jokic, but if you get spurts like that, that's going to add another element to them. And then like I was saying too as well, Isaiah's not really like a main, like a real. I don't feel like he's like an elite rim protector
Right.
vertically.
Right.
But skill wise, defensively, he is. But you get him, and then you get Chet beside him. Chet's that guy that could chase you down and get the block. Isaiah's gonna put people in position to take terrible or tough shots around the rim. And I'm looking at him. I'm just like, man, to see his growth with this team, like everybody's getting better at the same time. So
Yeah.
the
And I
trajectory,
think
man.
I think Mark made the point the other day too, after the 33-19 game, that like this guy's only 27 years old as well. Like I think we all forget how young this team is, and he's one of the guys, I think, because he hasn't been here forever and we know him from other places, maybe we think he's older, but he's only 27, so he, much like the rest of this roster, is still, I mean, very much just coming into his best years potentially.
They do a great job of that, man. Just gauging and scaling guys' careers coming up. And then, like, when they get on the team, and this is with any other great organization, you start realizing everything else, like his age. Oh, man, he only 27. Oh, I didn't know he could pass like that. Or I
Yeah.
didn't know he was this good of a locker room guy. You never know. It's all kind of things like when you get in the right situation everything that you really talented and you can show is just like, I mean, it shines on. So I'm happy for Zay, man. He's doing good.
All right, let's talk about Isaiah Joe. He's off to a great start as well. Missed the first 4 games of the season. I think he's played in 7 now, if I remember correctly, but averaging 15 points a game. There were stretches last year, and he's the best 3-point shooter on this roster. Obviously, that's what he does. That's not to say that he can't do anything else, but that's his specialty. And there were definitely stretches last season where he wasn't shooting the ball as well as he had in the past. He's off to a scorching start. I think he's shooting 41% from 3 so far. And I mean, I feel like just watching games, it feels like it's even a bigger number than that. I mean, all the threes that he should be hitting, he's hitting. He may be missing some of the tougher ones, but when he has a look at the basket, right now he's in such a groove that you feel like it's going in every time he pulls the trigger.
He's gonna be big for them, man. Stretch like especially down the stretch and in the playoffs. Um, I remember watching him play in person for the first time. I believe he was he in Philly
Yeah, that's right, Philly.
City, right? And I always thought he wasn't shooting really great that game, but I was like, that's gonna translate if he gets to a team that's gonna be a real playoff contender. I can see it in 2 possessions, like, okay, he can shoot. It's gonna go in. He's not gonna continue to miss that shot with the kind of with the stroke he has when the ball leaves his hand, like, and where he is now, comfortable role, buying in, you know, like him and AJ, like those 2 guys, they can take pressure off Shea. You don't have to always make every single play, like I was saying. And he's just in his niche, man. When you find your niche, you don't want to lead it. He is shooting the ball extremely well right now, but he's also a capable playmaker in big moments. And you need those kind of guys, man. So I love the confidence that everybody's playing with. Everybody's a superstar in their own role right now.
That's
You
right.
know, hard to find, it's hard to sustain over a course of a season, but that's when culture comes into play. All of those guys looking good, and they really holding themselves accountable.
Everybody
You know,
embracing their role and playing it to the highest level I think possible. You can speak on this because you mentioned confidence with Isaiah Joe. That's a big part of shooting and having the confidence to pull the trigger when you need to. But I also wonder how much like his minutes are playing a factor as well, because when you're maybe not shooting the ball well and you're not getting a ton of minutes, it's hard to bring that confidence back up. Right now you have so many players out. Aaron Wiggins is out, Lou Dort is out, J-Dub hasn't played, Caruso's missed a few games. Like, because of the injuries, that's kind of opened the door for him to have the opportunity to play more minutes. He's kind of found a rhythm because he's played more minutes, and once again, he's shooting the ball tremendously better.
it's just about staying in your same routine. If your minutes do dip, when those guys come back, when Lou comes back, J Dub, of course, Wig gonna come back, and they have to have him playing defensively because of what he's bringing to the table. AJ's got to play. So I mean, everybody's minutes are going to dip. I'll put it. Obviously that's Coach Mark and all that staff that's going to be able to, from what I know from being there, ingratiate those guys back into the groove, and minutes have to get adjusted. But as a player, you got to stay in the same routine, what you've been doing, whether you're playing 28 minutes, 30 minutes, or if it drops to 13, 12, 13 minutes, it's got to be the same preparation. That's the only thing that can keep you right mentally,
Yeah,
keeping the same preparation and not that usually for me it drowned out everybody like, why you not playing? Why you not playing? You should be playing. You should be playing over him. You should be playing over him. And I'm like, man, I'm in the same routine every day. Because when it comes back around, you gotta be ready to step in. It was a time I didn't play for 3, 4 weeks, like play at all. So it's like my practice was my game time.
yeah,
My
that's tough.
workouts in the gym, yeah. So it's like then you get thrown in against the San Antonio Spurs out of nowhere on national television, and you still got to go out there and perform. What you gonna say? No, I ain't ready. I ain't been. No,
Right.
you have to be ready. you know. So I think they got a good group of professionals, and they'll be able to deal with it. And they got a great coach staff, so they'll be able to figure all that out.
Yeah. I meant though, like it's probably easier once you've lost your confidence maybe a little bit to gain it when you're getting minutes as opposed to not having confidence and not getting the opportunities to maybe like find that confidence again.
Yeah, yeah, that's exactly, yeah, that's what
Yeah.
it is.
All right, let's again, Lakers coming up, so we'll have a lot to talk about next week. I do love the fact that Luka's first game since the Nico Harrison firing in Dallas is against Oklahoma City. So I don't know if he'll feel like he has something extra to prove, because obviously he's going to be asked about that at some point today or tonight. But this is one of the craziest things in sports. So this happens 9 months ago. Luka Doncic traded from the Dallas Mavericks. I don't care about the Mavericks whatsoever. Like, I have no affiliation to them. I've never covered them. I'm not a fan of the Mavericks, but it pisses me off as just a fan of sports that any pro organization could do that to their fan base, right? Like, you have a superstar that's committed. You ask them to pay these crazy amounts of money for season tickets and support the team and buy all this gear and everything that fans do, and to pull like the rug out from underneath your fan base in that specific way, to me, is absolutely wild and almost unforgivable. Like, I can't imagine like just not rooting for the teams I like, but when a team does something like that to its fan base, like, you're killing your support in a way. And 9 months later, I guess the owner had seen enough and pulled the trigger on Nico. What a wild turn of events.
Yeah, that threw me for a loop, bro. I didn't see that coming. Not now. Like, I knew that the whole Luka thing, I didn't see that coming. I don't think anybody did. And for me, with this situation, I was like, okay, Nico's been around the game for years. He's been around superstars. Um, I just feel like, honestly, first of all, the Mavericks they don't have their stars. Luka's gone, Kyrie's hurt, AD's hurt. Now it's bringing up AD was out of shape. Nobody said anything about Kyrie. Kyrie has a legit injury and he's recovering. And I mean, no team in the West going to be able to sustain that. They 3-8. What do you expect for them in the West?
Right.
So I want to get him a little bit like, a little bit of slack on that, because I'm like, man, it's just what it is. That's part of the game. But from an executive standpoint, Nico Harrison can't. Somebody above Nico Harrison, they got new ownership. You think Mark Cuban is going to trade Luka? That's not going to happen. He don't do stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? So I think that, what's the name of it?
Dumont.
The Dumont family.
Yeah.
So they come in, it's new everything. So it's like, okay, we're not going to take the blame for this, because we're not going to have to be in front of a camera every day.
Right.
And we don't have to be at the games every day. We don't have to walk into the arena and get booed every day as a GM. We don't have to worry about that as the owners. We somewhere upstate at a cabin with our family watching the games. We ain't got to worry about that. Somebody got to take the fall for this. I'm not putting it on the coaches. I'm not putting it on Jason Kidd and them. I'm not putting it on the players that's out there playing and have to deal with their teammates, their two best players being hurt. I'm not. But somebody going to take the blame. And it just happened to be Nico. Now, do I think he'll be a GM somewhere again? Probably not. Will he be an executive somewhere? I think he can do that. So I'm just saying, it's really what it is.
Yeah.
I think that, it's just he kind of had to fall on that sword, man. And it was unfortunate, but I do feel like with that trade being made, I don't know how that came about or how much he was involved in that decision to pull the trigger on that. I just know I probably would have definitely not did that. Then he comes out, they're trying to get Ant-Man, they was trying to get Wemby. I'm like, yo, they was really moving like it's 2K. Like, just create a season and just do something. I'm like, bro, that's crazy. So, now, it's all behind them. I'm like, it's talks, maybe they trade AD, and all things involved in that trade may have to move out of that building. You got Nico out. We already traded Luka. AD's there. Is he going to be healthy? They already saying he out of shape now. I'm like,
Right.
He's been out. How's he out of shape? You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. I think you may have to move off of them, but I don't think they're going to get what they think they'll get for AD at this point.
The problem with that move is, if it's going to work, it's going to have to work long term. And nobody was going to be satisfied with anything but success immediately. So you were doomed from the beginning, because you had just gone to the NBA Finals, right? You're at the Finals. Luka's playing hurt, or, there were a lot of different things said, but they made it to the NBA Finals, lose to the Boston Celtics. He gets traded halfway into the following season. even if it's a home run trade 2, 3 years from now, it was always going to be a failure immediately because odds are you're just not going to have the chemistry immediately, even if AD's not hurt and Kyrie's not hurt, where you're able to like put it all together and get back to the finals. On top of the fact that you piss off your entire fan base by trading away, a young superstar that wants to be in that city. And so when you hope that like the winning maybe like curbs their appetite for blood, and now you can't even rely on maybe winning some games because everybody's hurt and you're losing games. Like it was a no-win situation, I think, from the beginning. And the fact that they couldn't even put players on the floor to try and at least satisfy the fan base with some wins was the final nail in the coffin.
Yeah, he was on a short leash. I think he knew it though.
Yeah.
Overall, I think he kind of knew it. They put the camera on, he didn't look right. It wasn't like when he first took the position over there. So I think he just felt it. Like, who wants to walk into the building like and get, you basically get threats and all kind of stuff, man. It was, but like I said, like that's what I think he could be a high ranking executive somewhere with a position somewhere else. Maybe not, like I said, like the GM, but at the same time, some places is just not made for certain people. Like when I think Nico Harrison, I don't think like kind of conservative Dallas. I'm thinking like
Yeah.
or Boston or New York. I'm not saying they'll reach out or something like that. I'm just saying in general, like just for what I know him from being associated with. So when that kind of trade happens, that's probably the worst trade in the history of the NBA. Like for real, can't think of anything else in my life. In my 40 years on Earth, I can't think of anything. So like, especially in a place like that, where like with Dallas, you think the Cowboys, Troy Aikman, Emmitt Smith, Michael Irvin, Nate Newton, you think that. When you think the Mavericks, you think Dirk, no matter what. So I mean, when you get those kind of cities with that kind of fan base and that kind of loyalty to the team, and then Mark leaves, or he, replenishes his role or whatever, and or he takes a step back, you lose that, and then this all we have to stand on is Luka. He loves us, we love him. He a superstar. Well, he was out of shape. I'm like, okay, that's got to be coming from somewhere else. Nico's not saying that. So where is it coming from? They got to be in-house. Somebody wants this to be heard about their superstar player, generationally talented guy. I'm like, he was 28-8 when he was out of shape. So now he goes to LA and they call him low-carb Luca now, and he's 41, 12, and 9. I'm like, what you think he was going to do? He got a chip on his shoulder.
Yeah.
He's in and he's in Los Angeles. So I mean, at the end of the day, he's the real winner of the trade, in my opinion. Everything else with AD being hurt, all the other drama in Dallas. He's like, well, I'm in LA. I miss y'all. I love y'all. I'm always be a legend there. Nico can't go to the grocery store in Fort Worth. You know what I'm saying? So
No
it is
doubt.
what it is. I don't know. I think it's going to end up being okay. I just don't know because the Lakers don't have any. I don't know what kind of first round picks until they talking about 2030 and stuff. I'm like, I don't know what's going to happen, but you got your star, you got your coach. I love JJ and what his staff doing over there. They could build off that.
Yeah. All right, let's wrap up with a few fan questions, and then I've got one as well. If you guys want to submit a question at Colby_Daniels on Twitter, and we will put those into the show every week. Okay, so this one's from me because we were talking to Alex Caruso yesterday as OKC was getting ready to play Golden State, and he was asked something along the lines of like, what is the toughest part of having to defend Steph? And his answer was like, the range obviously just stretches you out and he takes a bunch of crazy shots. You never know when he's just going to pull up out of nowhere. So you have to be ready for the shot at all times, not to mention his handle. And so he like had this long answer about how tough Steph is to defend. So my question to you is, did you have somebody like outside of Steph Curry? Was there ever anybody that you were just like, man, I hate defending this guy. He's such a problem.
It was the guys that play like me. Like I play like them, but the guys that had similar games to me, like Ray Allen, I hated guarding him. I mean, it's different. Like I'll break it down to like JJ Redick, because I had to guard him in college too. Uh, JJ was tough in college because JJ got a lot of calls, man. I ain't gonna lie. He went, and I tell him that to his face. And he probably admit it now, But I mean, no, but JJ was tough. He was so smart. Like his IQ on the court, he could shoot. So of course we know he could shoot. How he shot the ball, his efficiency. But people, I don't think gave enough credit for how tough he was. With that reputation as fearless. So he was relentless. You always had to be on point, and it was hard to score and have to guard him in college. And then obviously the NBA is a little different, and he found his niche in the league for real. Being with all the hype that he had, and great career. Cal Korver, because he was so strong and he played the same way, coming off screens. They run little plays for him. Like people don't realize, like when you think Cal Korver, people don't realize. I'm like, yo, Cal was 6'8", like 230 solid pounds, strong as hell. That's how he got his separation. He wasn't really quick. He wasn't that fast, but he was really deceptive. And I always tell Cal this. I'm like, man, you helped me. You saved my career. Like I really focused in at that time period in Atlanta with him. I really did more like just more studying him, not just on the court, but off the court. But he was tough. I hated guarding him. And then probably number one was probably Ray Allen because Ray IQ level, like I'm talking about like how to come off screens, how to read defenses. It was like next level. And only time it got me in trouble when because I guarded him in Miami. I didn't see the Milwaukee Bucks, Ray Allen, which people don't. They kind of just look over 27 a night for a few years. And I'm like, you don't know what he's going to do. You got to stay attached to him. But then they got LeBron, Chris Bosh, and D Wade on his other side. And you can't leave Ray, But his IQ was so high, he still had his footwork was crazy. But yeah, those was guys you had to just come into the game like, all right, I know it wasn't like Carmelo. You know what Melo's going to do.
Yeah.
You got to hope you're missing shots. You know, Dwayne Wade was like that, even though it wasn't the shooter that those guys are. You didn't know what he was going to do. Like most elusive basketball player I ever had to guard in my life. The only thing that helped me was that he didn't care about guarding me, so I knew I could probably go off for 20. I like lose, but I mean, what you want me to do? I got to guard this dude. He was in his prime. Obviously earned his, Hall of Fame,
Yeah.
all that.
I
Yeah,
mean,
those guys, man, you got to know what you're gonna do. You got to kind of come up with a plan, at least kind of slow them down, or not let them get as many looks, free and clean looks.
all right. So this one was from a buddy of mine who he always likes to say 1 of 82. Like you win one, he's like it's 1 of 82. You lose one, it's 1 of 82. Like basically, like the regular season is the regular season, and talk to me when we get to the playoffs. So
Right.
my question based off of that is, I guess what's the best way to phrase this? When you look at the regular season, how do you weight like the different parts of the regular season? Does it slowly ramp up? Because over the course of 82 games, not all those games, I mean, it's impossible for all those games to be weighted the same amount, especially like in October versus like, March and April. So, because I've heard different players all have different opinions on this.
I'll say for me, it's like it's almost like you kind of just feel it during certain parts of the season. You got to kind of just read the room. Like, what's the coach energy like? What are my, what is my player development guy like? How's he moving right now? Read the superstar guys. Like, what are they talking about? So if you know something like it's I'll give you like kind of an example is like it could be closing in to going into All-Star break. And let's say over the last 10 games before, we are like six, or be like 7-3, but we just dropped two in a row. But we got an ESPN game against the Mavericks at that time or the Spurs. So this is like playoff implication. This is like a playoff implication game right now.
Yeah.
And we need to get our momentum back going into All-Star break. So that few days leading up to that game is gonna feel like a playoff atmosphere in the locker room. It should feel like that. That's just like an example. Like that's all I
Yeah.
could just give you. So like if you know they don't come out and try to blow y'all out. They know y'all just lost two close games. It might have been a back to back. We got 2 days off. That shoot around, that practice before the game, and that shoot around the next day is gonna be a different kind of focus. Like certain stuff you might have been talking about last week in the locker room. We probably ain't even thinking about that right now. Like we need to beat them. We're going to All Star. gonna come out, we're gonna stay on the roll. Then you might go into like a 13 game win streak or something like that. But that's the kind of like feeling that you just get. Everybody's locked in at one time, and that's kind of what it is. Like
Yeah.
if you lose to a team you should beat early in the season. I mean, we lost to Orlando and everybody was pissed off. But the next day, it didn't feel like this is going to be like a snowball effect of losing, you know. So that's all about the culture of everything. You can tell what teams struggle with that.
Yeah.
I'm a Panthers fan, but I love what the Eagles have done the last few years. But when it gets bad, everybody knows it. You can't tell, you couldn't tell when it was Brady and the Patriots back in the day, So it's just
Yeah.
different in terms of the mentality, top to bottom.
I've heard multiple players say something along the lines of like there's a certain not that because you're not like not trying to win games, like you're trying to win games the whole season, but there's a level of intensity like from the beginning of the season to Christmas that then like shifts to into another gear from like Christmas to like the All-Star break, and then from the All-Star break it just slowly like increases from there to the playoffs. But it's kind of like Christmas is like one transition, and then the All-Star break is another, and then like from that point on it just slowly like goes up until you get to like the final like 3-4 weeks of the regular season, and then it kind of reaches a like you start getting into like a playoff type level of intensity.
And that's the experience and the pedigree of the good teams. That's what separates the teams that's inexperienced with the teams that have been there before. They kind of just know, okay, this is the week that we have to really start locking in on, when seedings and stuff start coming out, people clinching the playoffs
Yeah.
at the top. Now it's like, okay, now we got to really go into overdrive with what's going on. So you just kind of know it. If you've been around it long enough, you'll figure it out.